Good morning, everyone. I guess we can go ahead and start. Welcome to NUS Open House 2026, and welcome to the College of Humanities and Sciences. So this is the core curriculum talk for the College of Humanities and Sciences, where we will kind of give you a brief overview of the whole College of Humanities and Sciences experience. My name is Joseph Park. I teach in the Department of English, Linguistics, and Theater Studies. I'm also a Vice Dean of Undergraduate Studies at Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Chong Hao. I'm from the Department of Physics, and I'm also representing Faculty of Science here. My portfolio is I'm the Vice Dean for Faculty of Science in charge of outreach and admission.
So Professor So and I will give you a brief overview of College of Humanities and Sciences, the core curriculum for the first hour. And then after that, we'll move on to question and answer. So you can ask any questions about the CHS experience, and we'll try to answer them as many as possible. Okay. All right, let's move on. Can you move to the next slide? Yeah, so we want to start out by sharing about how CHS, College of Humanities and Sciences, we often call CHS, how CHS came to start. CHS started back in 2021, and it started out as a response to the rapidly changing world that we're living in. You might have heard the phrase VUCA, right? It means that the world is becoming more volatile, uncertain, and complex and ambiguous, right? So the world is rapidly changing, and the problems that we need to solve are even not well defined, and they become more complex and ambiguous, right? So looking for solutions for those problems requires big challenges, and the world is kind of become quite unpredictable and volatile, right? And part of this has to do with the rapid development of digital technology. In the past few years, we've seen a rapid advancement of AI technology disrupting many aspects of our lives. And we also see the effect of the integrated world economy, right? So how the events at the faraway places of the world are affecting us in unpredictable ways. So this gives rise to the need that we should be prepared for the future, which is really unpredictable and hard to see what the problems that we'll need to be addressing, right? Okay, let's move on to the next slide. So the problems that will face in the future and facing now require more and more interdisciplinary solutions, right? So the problems such as the COVID-19 pandemic that we went through, or the kind of wave of mental illness issues and climate change. These are all issues and complex problems that call for interdisciplinary solutions. Right? So just thinking about the COVID-19 pandemic, for example, it's a medical issue in the sense that it's not to be dealt with kind of a particular virus and requires solutions by, for example, developing a particular vaccine for the virus. But it's also an economic problem, for instance, because it deals with some issues of health economics. And in order to kind of deal with the issues of pandemic, as we know now, kind of the epidemic modeling of how the disease spreads through data science, for example, that's also an important aspect of addressing the problem. And we also need to understand people's psychology so as to understand how people contact each other in such context of quarantine, and what's the best way for convincing people to take up the vaccines, right? And the COVID-19 pandemic also highlighted issues of social inequality. As we discovered, the people who are most essential workers are also the people who are most undervalued and underpaid workers. And of course, the COVID-19 pandemic is also a more fundamental issue about our relationship with the natural world. So that is something that we need humanities scholars help for understanding how we should best reset our relationship with the natural world, right? So these kind of things require highly interdisciplinary solutions, people from different fields all working together to find a way to deal with such complex problems. So we move to the next slide. Yes. So this means that we need these kind of soft skills to address problems in the future, right? We don't need only just the content knowledge from our own disciplines, but we need these various skills to work together flexibly and to address social problems that we see around us in a flexible way. So this include things like, for example, ability to make connections, right? So am I able to kind of connect disparate fields of knowledge to find more complex solutions? And am I able to kind of also adapt in a flexible manner to new knowledge and new issues that are emerging in real time? Am I able to communicate and collaborate with people working in different fields from mine so that I can understand what they're speaking of and then find ways to work together creatively? And also things like critical thinking become all the more important because we need to really critically understand our social status quo and then identify the directions in which you need to move. Empathy also becomes important, right? Working with people from disparate fields and different backgrounds from ours requires a sense of empathy. And then also kind of addressing problems of social inequality requires us to empathize with people from different cultures and different walks of life. And then we need to develop lifelong learning ability, right? Because the knowledge that we need to acquire and the skills that we need to adapt are constantly changing. We cannot be satisfied with our past knowledge that we acquired, but we need to constantly be learning, adapting new skills as they come along, right? So these kind of challenges and these kind of demands led us to the start of College of Humanities and Sciences. Let's move on to the next slide, please.
So this morning, we are very happy that you have joined us to learn more about our program that we have to offer. So of course, you are at a stage of your life where you are considering your next step for your tertiary educations. So we are very happy that NUS over the years, right, has grown very, very well, developed very well, and then of course we enjoy very, very good reputations. So this particular slide shows you some of the data and reputations that we gain over the course of our development. But I think, in my opinion, the most important data on this particular slide is on the right-hand most. In other words, employability. So I think this is one of the things that you should be thinking of because, of course, after you have obtained your degree from the university, the next thing that you're going to go is go for a job, right? So we are very happy that NUS graduates enjoy very good reputations. We are highly sought after by the companies. So this is the mindset that we want to develop. So how do we develop a world-class university which produce graduate students with high employability? So next slide, please. As Professor Park has already mentioned, a few years ago, two of the largest faculty in NUS, namely Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences and Faculty of Science, come together to collaborate. Okay. So we formed this College of Humanities and Sciences. So from now on, Professor Park and myself will use the acronym CHS very, very frequently to represent College of Humanities and Sciences. Just think about it. You have the resources of two of the largest faculties coming together, and you get to interact with the professors from different disciplines. You get to learn from your peers. So this is a very exciting program that we have rolled out for the past few years, and we are going to show you what we have to offer. Next slide, please. So what is the mission and visions of CHS? As Professor Pai has already mentioned, the world is very, very complex now. I think you all agree that the problem that we have to tackle, right, involve the discipline, the wisdom of multidisciplines. In other words, you want to take advantage of the ideas and solutions offered by different disciplines and come together and come up with the most optimal solutions. So we really want to prepare you for a digital world. I think everybody agree, right? So the world is going to be very high tech and digitized, and then it's going to be changing and complex. Right. So we want to teach you to be very, very adaptable. Because in other words, you are able to develop a lot of resilience and strong foundations in the basic skill like reading, writing, and thinking and numeracies. And also, we want to make sure that you have expanded your learning capacity because you're going to be here with us for 4 years, but you know that the careers that you're going to pursue is a lifelong. Right? So in other words, you need to continue to learn all the time. So the learning capacities of our students is very much emphasized. Every one of you will have your primary interest, so you're going to develop certain depth in a certain domain knowledge. But at the same time, we also want to ensure that you cover a reasonable amount of a breadth. In other words, so the multidisciplinary aspect and interdisciplinary curriculum will be very much emphasized. In fact, we have spent the past few years to develop this particular program in terms of we make sure that we instill the mindsets of interdisciplinary among the students. So we will impart your ability to think, synthesize, and integrate knowledge and insights across discipline because we believe that this is integral to solving the complex problem that we're going to face in the future. Next slide, please.
Okay, so before we move on to more detail, we just wanted to point out how CHS fits in within the overall NUS structure. So in order to get a degree from NUS, you have to become a student of one of the colleges or faculties of NUS. And these are all listed in the blue column in the middle. Okay, so College of Humanities Sciences is one of the degree granting colleges or faculties on the par with, for example, College of Design and Engineering or Business School or Faculty of Law, Computing, and those kind of things, right? So in order to get a degree from NUS, you have to become a student of one of these. And one of those is College of Humanities and Sciences. If you look on the right-hand side, we have also some enhancements you can do on top of one of those degree granting colleges and faculties, right? So those include NUS College or NUS Overseas College or residential colleges and special program in science, which we'll talk about in a minute. Okay, so even though some of these have the name college in it, these are not kind of things you can do to get a degree, right? So these are enhancements, right? So if you're interested in NUS College, you have to first be a student of one of the blue colleges or faculties first, and then on top of that, you have to do the NUS College, for example, right? Okay, we just want to clarify that first, and we'll talk about those enhancements in a minute. Next slide, please.
So this particular slide is about the CHS curriculum structure. It's going to be a very busy slide, so we're going to spend a bit of time on this particular slide. So CHS is going to be a 4 years program. You know, in NUS, we have a 2-semester system mainly, right? So every semester, very typically, students will take 5 courses. So you have 2 semesters per year, so that means 10 courses per year. So it's a 4 years program, that means 40 courses. So this is a basic degree requirement for you to graduate with a degree. So as shown over there, so we have 40 courses and then 160 units, right? You can do more. 40 is a basic minimum. You can do 41, 42, 43, that's perfectly fine. So how do we design and organize this particular 40 courses over the period of 4 years? Now, then we represent this in a pie chart that you see on the right. You see, roughly one. So we have 13 courses on what we call CHS Common Curriculum, 15 courses for the major requirement, and then 12 courses of unrestricted elective UE. So every one of you have your primary major, right? Yeah. And then so that means the primary majors will be contributed by the department designing the primary major, and there will be 15 courses from the department. It can represent a cluster of maybe compulsory one or an elective that you choose from a basket. Then regardless of your primary interest, every one of you must do this CHS Common Curriculum, 13 courses. Later we'll elaborate more on what these 13 courses are. Okay. So that means that left behind the 12 UE, unrestricted elective. What do? We leave it entirely up to you. So it's a student-centric thing. So maybe one student say, I'm going to do 15 courses in subject A. Then for the UE 12 courses, maybe I will do 10 of them in subject B. In that case, what we call this second major. So for example, a student can do a primary major in chemistry, secondary major in history, primary major in philosophy, secondary major in physics, primary major in life science, secondary major in psychology. You get the idea? So you do 15 courses for one and then 10 courses for the other one, then you will have what we call a second major. And we also use the term double major. So it's the same. So you see the double major is awarded to a student who satisfied the requirement of 2 majors, but it's a single degree program. For example, if you do 15 chemistry and then 10 history, then your primary is chemistry, so you get a Bachelor of Science. Then some students say, well, I'm not going to do 10 courses on the secondary major, but maybe I do 5. That's okay also. Yeah, so that is called a minor. So you see, so you will have a minor contributed by 5 courses. Is that clear? Then some students will sometimes say, if you say I do 15 of A, I get this degree. Can I do 15 of B? That means your second subject, you also do 15 courses. In that case, you would have satisfied the requirement of a 2 degree. These 2 subjects must be contrasting, right? So for example, if you do, let's say you do physics for your primary major and you do literature for your secondary, then you will have a 2 degree. You get Bachelor of Science and Bachelor of Arts. If you do, let's say, econs and you do history, then you can have Bachelor of Social Sciences and then Bachelor of Arts. You get the idea? So this is what we call a double degree. So you need to do more because you need 15 for one, 15 for the other one. Yeah. So, but as you can think about it, 40 courses are bare minimum. That means the basic minimum. You can consider doing 43 in other words, because you need to do 12 UE anyway. So if you do 3 more, that will satisfy 15. From our experience, students need more time for this to be completed. So you can finish your double degree within 4.5 to 5 years. But for double majors, from my experience also, you can finish within 4 years. We'll elaborate more on this as we go along. And also when your question comes in, we'll elaborate more on this. Next slide, please. So first, let's focus on the blue color part, the common curriculum, 13 courses. Take a look. So what are the 13 courses, right? So we really want to make sure that you train and then pick up very important basic soft skill and then important skills for lifelong learning. So writing, data literacies, AI, right? I think we don't have to emphasize the importance of AI nowadays, artificial intelligence. And we also want to make sure that you develop a lot of empathies and other things. So community engagement is part of it. And then we want creative students. So we also have a course on design thinking, right? So, and of course, digital data information, all these are very important, digital literacy. And then we have 5 integrated courses, regardless of whether you are leaning more towards the science or leaning more towards the arts. Every one of you in CHS must do integrated Asian studies, humanities, social sciences. And also we have scientific inquiry 1, scientific inquiry 2. As we have mentioned, interdisciplinary mindset is very important. So we have 2, what we call interdisciplinary courses. We call it IDC. So we spent past few years developing a lot of these courses. Very interesting. Some of these are basket of courses that you choose from. Then if you just do one of them, you have satisfied one of the requirement. Or on the other hand, some of these can be just one course taken by 2,000 CHS students. So we'll elaborate more on this as the questions keep coming in. Yeah. Next slide, please.
Okay, so let's move on to the rest of the pie chart. So as Professor So just explained, the rest of the pie chart is orange part, the 15 courses major requirement, and then the gray part, 12 courses of unrestricted electives. Now, CHS gives you very wide choices of how to fill in this space. And this means that you get the great freedom to craft your own educational journey, okay? Because we have so many majors to choose from because we are a college that formed by bringing together 2 largest faculties in the US campus. And then we also offer many different choices and different ways you can fill up your unrestricted electives, right? So this creates the exciting opportunity for the student. Okay, so can you move to the next slide? So to speak in terms of the majors, CHS offers all these different kinds of majors, right? So this is definitely the largest number of majors that any faculty offers in NUS, right? So these can be classified into Asian studies and humanities and social sciences, and then sciences. And what CHS is also proud about is our unique cross-disciplinary programs. So cross-disciplinary programs are majors that bring together 2 or more different disciplines. And these include data science and economics, and Bachelor of Environmental Studies, and geospatial intelligence, and philosophy, politics, and economics, often called PPE. Okay, so when you apply for CHS, if you're interested in any of these majors, you apply for CHS, right, rather than directly applying for the major, right? The only exception are the ones that we indicate with stars. So food science and technology and pharmaceutical science, plus the 4 different cross-disciplinary programs. So if you're interested in those programs, you have to directly apply to those programs when you apply to NUS. But if you're interested in any of the other majors, then you just apply for the Humanities and Sciences program, which is a program for CHS in general, right? And then once you come in, then you get to choose any of these majors, except the ones in the stars, as your major, right? So CHS gives you this wide range of choices, right? And what's even better is we also give you some time to think about whether the major you chose is really the one that you're really most interested in and really fits with your own aptitude, right? So, for example, when you just come in the first semester, you might choose, for example, communication and new media as your major, right? But then after 1 semester, you might think, well, actually, I think data science and analytics is quite interesting, and I might do better in that. Then you can switch your major to data science and analytics. Right? And you can do that up to the beginning of your fifth semester. So basically, we give you first 2 years to try out different majors and then kind of narrow it down uh, until you kind of finalize your major on your third year. Right? So this is a really great opportunity because the orange part of the pie chart, you can fill in with any of these majors, right? And you also get the flexibility to choose between different majors within this large pool of majors, right? So CHS in this sense gives you a great, exciting kind of range of choices to plan for your study, okay? Can you move next slide? And we are constantly coming up with new programs as well, so that you can fill in the orange part and gray part of the pie chart in many different ways. So for example, in the next upcoming academic year, for example, on the FASS side, we are coming up with I just told you about the geospatial intelligence cross-discipline program, right? So this is a new program which integrates geography and geospatial knowledge and computing together to address kind of social problems that can be dealt with geospatial data. We know that geospatial data is becoming very important. You can think of things like GIS, GPS, remote sensing, satellite imagery, and those kind of things, right? And these are all big data that needs to be processed through computing tools, right? It's a very popular field, and there are many careers in great demand in areas like smart cities or sustainable development or business logistics. We can think of companies like Grab or Uber and those kind of things, which all can heavily rely on geospatial intelligence. So this is one kind of new program that we're coming up, right? And we also will start a concurrent degree program in clinical psychology, where you can do a Bachelor of Social Sciences, a psychology major, and a Master of Psychology and Clinical Psychology degree together in 5 years. So normally it will take 6 years because the psychology major will take 4 years and clinical psychology master's will take 2 years. But due to integrate a program, you can take in 5 years. So this is a new program that you're starting if you're interested in clinical psychology. And also, this is still pending approval, but FAS is also preparing a second major and minor in computational social science and AI. And this emphasizes bringing together social knowledge of social issues, plus the computing and AI skills that can complement any major that students are taking. So this will be an open major to all CHS students, open second major and minor to all CHS students, as well as students across the NUS. Who are interested in using computational AI skill to enhance their own major training and also apply that to kind of addressing social problems. Okay.
So as you can see, right, so CHS is actually very dynamic and evolving all the time because we want to make sure that our students is very competitive when they graduate and go out and compete for jobs. So you can see that from the list of the new program that we are launching now, we want to make sure that you're able to catch on to the advancement in terms of the latest economics development. So that's why from the Faculty of Science side, we now have a double degree program that we have a Bachelor of Computing in AI. So we don't have to emphasize the importance of AI with a Bachelor of Science in Mathematics. So combining the AI knowledge with the mathematics knowledge provide a significant advantage for you when you compete for job. And then over the years, we have started develop a minor, of course. And then from the minor, we can see that some of the minor are very, very popular. And all the minor also has gained very good tractions when the students graduate and go out. So we evolve and develop, transform the minor into a major. So now you can see that we have new program, newly launched program in a second major in forensic science. This is very popular, and then the students can find job in a wide varieties of different sectors, for example, like HSA and others, health sciences or legal related entity. Right? So second major in forensic science developed the ideas, of course, using science technique to find evidence for certain criminal investigations, right? So in crime lab, you do all these kind of investigations. And of course, computing is so important, so popular, and so high demand. Okay, so we now roll out our own faculty second major in computing, but with emphasis on the sciences. So because you can imagine, right? So in order to gain a very good ideas and informations and logical understanding about the behavior of certain physical system, having the computational power, analytical power, because of the important models, exciting models, you can actually do a lot of computing science, but with the topics in scientific analysis in mind. So diverse career in industry that requires all this side of competence, right? And of course, you know that Singapore is going to develop ecosystem in aqua and marine and freshwater ecology, right? So now we have a second major in marine and freshwater ecology. And from past experience, we know that many of the life science students will be interested in a veterinary kind of a degree, right? So now there's one pending approval. We're going to have a collaborations with the University of Edinburgh, right, to provide such opportunity for the students. Next slide, please.
Okay, so if you go back, think about the pie chart that we've been talking about. As we just said, in the orange part, CHS offers you a wide range of majors you can choose and select from. Okay, and then for the gray part, then you can fill it with, for example, different double degree programs or double majors or second majors or minors, right? So we already showed you that we're coming up with many new second majors and minors and double degree programs. But that's not just the whole thing, right? So we just showed you the newest programs, and as Sol will talk about, there's really endless possibilities you can take if you pick the different second majors and minors, right? So all of the majors that we offer also are takeable as second majors, right? And on top of that, of course, there are more specialized second majors, like the ones that we just introduced, like computing science, forensic science, or computational science and AI, and those kind of things. And of course, we have a very wide range of minors, including lots of disciplinary minors, as well as language studies minors, as well as a more interdisciplinary kind of new minors, such as health, well-being, and society, or computing, or environmental sustainability, or bioinformatics, and so on, right? So the pie chart, as we saw then, it gives you great flexibility in academic pathways because you could fill in your major space. There's many different majors that CHS offers, and then fill in the unrestricted elective space with all these different kind of programs. Move on to the next slide, please.
So this is a time where you start to think about, okay, what am I going to organize and then package my education journey. So we have over 30 primary majors in each faculty. And just think about the combination of two you can pick from there. So more than 700 double majors pairing. Okay, and we have 30 second major and 70 minor to choose from. Okay, so 1,700 major minor pairings. We can't even list out all of them on this particular slide. Yeah. So that's why we want the student to think about how do I want to organize and package my education journey. Right. So we list out some of the popular one. For example, we have students interested in Chinese studies plus quantitative finance. So as you can imagine, yeah, these combinations make sense. It's a certain advantage. Economics and statistics also very logical. Okay? Anthropology and South Asian studies, right? Social works and psychology, right? So we want you to think about how am I going to embrace the idea of interdisciplinary angle, so that imagine that when you graduate and you present your academic transcript to your potential employer, the employer will think, aha, if I hire just one person here, and I have two experts in one, because you have a double major or major minor. That means you are multidisciplinary. You have the ability to take advantage of your knowledge from different disciplines. So this becomes very advantageous for the employer to hire you, right? So we have some statistics over the years we track. I said we have about 30% or so of the students with a double major, about 40% or so of students with a major minor combination. We leave it entirely up to you. How you want to package your journey, how you're going to package your combinations, it's up to you. Okay, next slide, please. So now you think about what kind of students that you will find in CHS. So now we're going to give you a certain ideas of the profile of students that we'll find in CHS. So we turn the pie chart into a bar chart as shown here, right? So 13 courses, common curriculum, every one of you must do remain there. So the blue color part remains the 13 courses, right? And then of course, every one of you will have your primary major. Right, so the 15 courses in the middle, the department responsible for the primary major will design the courses that you need to learn. Right. Now the remaining 12 courses, the UE. The UE is your own design again. Let's say some students say, I'm really die-hard interested in certain topic, and I'm going to devote my entire 12 courses in the UE into the same subject. Is this allowed? Answer is yes. So this group of students is what we call the deep specialists at the bottom there, okay? Because the students are really passionate and focused on one particular discipline and want to go all the way. Yeah. Then we have a group of students, we call them the integrator, right? So integrator means they are great connectors and believing in finding link between two subjects, which initially may seems to be, hey, it's not related, but they are able to find the linkage. Yeah, because second major requires 10 courses, right? So you can do a second major and then still you have 2 courses that you can do other things, right? So this group of students called integrator. Then there's a group of students say, I'm not going to do a second major, perhaps I will do a second minor, or I don't even do minor, I will do a certain combinations of the courses for my 12 UE courses. So this group of students, they are eager to explore something new, go out of their comfort zone, and then try to find fresh perspective of different topics because they have assimilated topics and understanding from different disciplines, right? So we call this group of students the versatilists. So it's up to you whether you want to be a versatile, integrator, and deep specialist. Usually at this part of the talk, I want to clarify some misconception among the students. Some students may have the misconception say, if I do double major and my friend not doing double major, my workload will be heavier than my friend. Answer is not true. You look at the bar chart here. The size of the bar charts are the same. In other words, regardless of whether you do a double major or not, every one of you must satisfy the 12 UE requirement. It's just how you package your 12 courses, that's all. Is that clear? So that's why all 3 categories of students workload is the same because 40 courses is the basic minimum requirement. Okay. Then Professor Park has already mentioned, let me clarify this some more. You do not need to commit to anything from the day one. You have the opportunity to change your mind. So this is the great part and the flexible part about our CHS journey. It's really up to you. So let me repeat what Prof. Park has already mentioned. First day you come to school, we will ask you whether you want to declare a certain primary major. Most of you do. Okay, and then we will ask you whether you want to declare a secondary major or minor. Some do, some do not. Okay, so okay, fine, that's fine. Then you finish the course is 1 semester, get your grade and everything. Beginning of the second semester, we ask you, so would you like to declare what as your primary major and secondary major or minor? Yeah. At that point, you can change your mind and then redeclare as long as there's no constraint on the resources and quota. Is that clear? So then you go through your second semester, finish. Beginning of the third semester, we will ask you again, what would you like to declare as your primary and secondary? At that point, you can also change your mind, and then if there's no constraint in quota, no issue, you can. And then third semester finish, beginning of fourth semester, we ask you again. At that point, you can still change your mind. Can you see that we give you 4 semesters, which is actually means 2 years. So by the beginning of 5th semester, that is your final declaration. And that one don't change anymore because you are halfway through your journey. So you change, then you may need to catch up. Yeah. So you have 4 semesters to explore and try things out. So we have some students who is very sure about primary major, but not so sure about this secondary subject. So the student will take a gateway course or introductory course on that particular topic, and you gain an idea about what this topic is all about, and then perhaps you develop a certain liking, then you take 4 more, which means you have 5, then you have a minor already, and some students completed a minor. Wow, I have certain talent in this second subject which I did not know. Okay, I find this very exciting, interesting, so I'm going to do 5 more. Then you collect 10, which means you get second major. Is that clear? You don't have to rush into this. You can take your time to formulate your combinations of major, minor, major, major combination. We'll elaborate more on this. Next slide, please. Yeah.
Okay, so now it's time for us to talk about those other enriching opportunities that I briefly mentioned earlier, right? So these include things like NUS College and the residential colleges and special programs in science, right? So NUS College is NUS's honors college. So if you become a student of NUS College, on top of the kind of courses you take at your home faculty, in your case, which would be CHS, if you join us, you will also kind of get together with students from other faculties all around the NUS campus to work in small classes that even have a higher degree of interdisciplinarity on specialized subjects, right? So it's really a way of kind of strongly enhancing your education through this kind of close-knit kind of interaction with your classmates and your instructors in a specialized kind of setting, right? And the residential college, of course, the aspect of residential the residential life is emphasized. So you live together with students from other faculties, again, together on campus, right? And then residential colleges also might have their own kind of specialized courses that you take with students also in the same residential college, right? So the thing about NUS college and residential college is that if you take if you become students of these and you take their required courses, some or many of those courses will replace your common curriculum courses that you're required to take from CHS, right? So in other words, you don't do any extra work. It's just that some of the requirements you need to do for CHS will be replaced by the requirements for NUS college or the residential college. Okay. For the special program in science, I'll ask Professor Soul to talk a little bit more about it.
So SPS do not stand for scissors, paper, stone. It is SPS, Special Program in Science. I believe it's one of the first, if not the first, talent development program in NUS. In fact, it started by our current president, Professor Tan Eng Chai. Yeah. So as the name suggests, we're going to provide a very specialized program for students very interested in develop skill sets, right? Particularly in research. Yeah. So typically, this program is enrolled by interview. Yeah? So you can, once you get in, you can actually sign up for interview for this particular program. Usually, we take in every year 40 to 50 students, and we typically will have a group of physicists, chemists, biologists, and mathematicians, statisticians combined together. Yeah, so they will take courses organized by the SPS lecturer, and I want to emphasize, if you take those courses, you are not overloading yourself, because those courses, a large fraction of which actually can map into the CHS common curriculum. So the underlying overall principle is that we do not want students to overload. Yeah, so if you do SPS, it's perfectly fine, because the courses you completed SPS would be on par. That means mapping into your CHS common curriculum, and some of which, yeah. Then this group of students will also be required to tackle a research problem. So there will be a research methodology program, and computational skill is very much emphasized. On top of that, they must do research, and then they must do research in group. So typically, the research will pair the students or a team of 3, having students from chemistry, biology, and then physics together, or maths, physics together, so that they tackle a multidisciplinary problem that is a form of their research. And at the end of which, we have like a conference setting, the SPS Congress, so where the students will put their research finding into a poster form, and there will be a very active interactions among the students, professors. They also challenge the students' presentations. So many of these students continue to embark on the path for research after they have graduated. Yeah. Next slide, please. Yeah.
Okay, and then we can talk about study abroad programs. Many students are interested in studying abroad, and the great thing about becoming a student of CHS at NUS is that because we're a global institution, we have really many global partners for student exchange across the world, right? So a great majority of our students go on student exchange programs for a semester or up to a year. And then, as I said, there are just endless possibilities of all corners of the world that you can visit. Okay, if you're not keen on going for the whole semester or whole year, there are also shorter duration summer and winter programs. You can go over during the summer winter break, right? And what we also kind of want to emphasize is the NUS Overseas College, right? And this is a very special program which also offers a study abroad experience, but with a focus on entrepreneurial experience, right? So for example, for this, if you become a student of NUS Overseas College, you might go to, for example, Silicon Valley and intern at a startup there. And during the evening, you might go to Stanford University and take a course, for instance, right? And NUS has overseas college campuses all across the world, again, in the US, Europe, and China, and many other places of the world. So this is also a very interesting opportunity if you're kind of keen on developing your entrepreneurial experience. Okay, let's go to the next slide. And we also have various programs that really prepare you for your own career. So apart from developing your major knowledge and kind of important kind of skills that help you deal with your future workplace, we also give you step-by-step guidance in practically preparing for the job market, right? So we have a career compass program that all students are supposed to take. We prepare this program in collaboration with the Center for Future Early Graduates. So every year, basically every semester, you'll be given a small task you can do to kind of prepare for your kind of career in step-by-step fashion. So for example, on one semester, you might be required to sign up with your career advisor, for example. And another semester, you'll be kind of asked to think about how to prepare your CV, and then how to search for a internship, how to prepare for a job interview, right? So we give you the small tasks you can do in step-by-step fashion without much pressure, right? So that you can, by the time you graduate, then you'll be fully ready to kind of go into the workplace and the job market to get started on your career. Okay, let's go to the next slide.
So as you can think, all right, so imagine you come through the process of the CHS and then you have embraced the ideas of multidisciplinary training. Yeah. So the kind of career, the kind of job that our students will embark on is a wide range. Right? So for example, you can think of, for example, let's say food technologies as shown there. Right. So this will be a career that is obviously targeted specifically to your specific training. This are most likely students come from the FSC. Yeah. But there are also many career whereby it does not really require your very specialized training, and more required on your way of analysis and critical thinking, so how you solve the problem, right? So we have a health policy as an analyst, for example, who may take advantage of a lot of data analysis, machine learning to figure out what is a trend, how to figure out information from a wide variety of huge amount of information, right? We also have risk management specialists who may take advantage of the knowledge in econs and mathematics and computer science, right? And of course, some of our students will embark on R&D, and some of our students will embark on the arts and publishing. So really a wide varieties, and also corporate communications. How do you make sure that the general public, your client, okay, your boss, everybody understood the main message, the ideas behind this particular business innovations? So digital marketing and strategies, these are again another things that people can think about. In fact, we have a mathematician running a hospital right now. Right? So you think about how can a mathematician run a hospital? Because you make use of your way of analytical thinking to solve problems and see what factors contribute to a certain effect, and then you try to tweak and you adjust this. So we hope that our students embark on a wide variety, and this is a small little collections of what we can see. But we really want you to be competitive. So your ability to learn continuously is very much emphasized. So you may change job, okay, but after you change job, you're not too afraid because you know that you can pick up new skill, new knowledge, and then you advance continuously in your career. Next slide, please. So we want to emphasize again, this is a very much student-centric journey. So you see that the way Professor Park and myself described to you, we really leave the decisions to you. You are the one who plan what you want to do with your primary major. You are the one who plan what you want to do with your 12 courses in the UE space. And then you can also think about how you're going to embrace the opportunity for SEP, student exchange program, how you're going to do many interesting things. So we just show you a small little sample of our students. For example, we have students, Jerica, major in chemistry and minor in forensic science. So because it makes sense, right? Because chemistry, forensic science, and then you're going to use the kind of all your techniques to advance that. The interdisciplinary approach equip her with the critical thinking, communications, problem solving skill. Then we have another student, Sabrina, okay, in major in life science and minor in statistics. So you can imagine, right? So life science, of course, you will have a huge wide variety of different samples. As you know, in life science, a lot of the distributions will be very broad because the behavior of biological system is very varied. Okay, so you need to be able to use a lot of statistical skill the analysis to figure out what is the common trend, the behavior from there, right? So emphasis on both quantitative and qualitative understanding help her, right, to improve her communication and analytical skills.
And if you look at the case of Sophie, we happen to have all examples of students who do one major and one minor. But of course, as we have been talking about, there are many different ways you can kind of carry out your academic journey. You can do a double degree or a double major with a one major and second major, right? Or you can just do one primary major and then go deep in that, right? So you can either be a deep specialist or a versatilist, as we've been talking about, right? So in Sophie's case, she just did a major in global studies, but of course, because the CHS curriculum itself, common curriculum itself, already exposes you to a wide variety of perspectives and ideas, that itself is really enough for you to get this kind of wide, broad perspective that really that is really needed when you go into the workplace, right? So in her case, she works with a capital group in a global government and regulatory affairs, right? And her background in global studies and as well as her training in the common curriculum of CHS is really prepared good, strong background for these kind of things, right? In the case of Ethan, he's a political science major and minor in economics, and he works at the Monetary Authority of Singapore. And as he kind of mentions in the quote, the blend between technical and abstract ideas, right? So that's a really strong point that CHS students can get, right? On the one hand, they get really more fundamental knowledge of the fields that they're studying, either in humanities, social sciences, or natural sciences. As well as more concrete kind of skills in computing or statistics or data science and so forth that we get through the CHS common curriculum, right? So CHS in this sense gives you the power and tools to craft your own student-centric journey. Okay. Let's move to the next slide, please.
So in summary, what we want to share with you is that the CHS education's journey has this particular hallmark, right? So summarize, it's a 4 years honors degree program, right? And the second bullet point, student-centric flexible journey. So you need to understand it's really up to you. And then we make it so flexible because you are allowed to change your mind after you have gained certain knowledge, additional informations, understandings about certain topic, right? Very distinct common curriculum. So 13 courses everybody must do, and we make sure that you pick up necessary important skill set there. Interdisciplinary courses are emphasized at all levels, not just the 2 courses that we designed at the IDC. We also make sure that the departments also implement and introduce ideas of interdisciplinary whenever they can in the courses that they have rolled up. What is the purpose of this? We want you to be market relevant, right? Because as we have mentioned, we produce trained multidisciplinary thinker, and that allows you to be very versatile and flexible in tackling the challenges that you're going to face in your career. So we hope that enhance your career prospect, and definitely the idea is to provide new skills for a brand new, very complex digital world that's coming. Yeah. And we emphasize this already. 4 years education training in CHS is not enough. So we want to make sure that you pick up additional lifelong learning skill, right? So we give you lifelong learning opportunities, continue. In fact, you know, the NUS, besides training undergraduate students, we also have the CET program. Yeah. So for working adults who have embarked on their journey and career out there, and they can come back to us. And so as an NUS graduate, you can continue to come back to pick up bite-sized courses to enhance your additional skill. Next slide, please.
Okay, so before we wrap up and move on to our Q&A, we just want to remind you of the physical open house that's coming up this Saturday. Okay, so it'll be on the U-Town of the NUS campus, and booth for CHS will be in the Stephen Riady Center Sports Hall 2. And there will be the booths for all the majors and all the programs that CHS offers. So you can come and talk to the professors and current students to know more about each of the programs and majors that we offer. And also there will be a range of different interesting talks for all the majors and programs that we offer. So you can learn more about the CHS experience in face-to-face, right? So you can scan the QR code for the schedule of our talk, okay? And can we move to the next slide? And we want to just highlight one special program that is available at the NUS Physical Open House this Saturday. This is a kind of NUS university level kind of talk that focuses on the AI-centered degrees that can help you prepare for your future, which includes kind of several programs from CHS as well. It'll be hosted by the provost of NUS himself. So it's a very interesting talk that you want to attend to, as well as many other talks that CHS will be offering at the NUS Physical Open House. So please check out the program, and we hope to see you in face-to-face and at NUS campus on Saturday. Okay. Can we move to the next slide? Okay, so this is the contact information for CHS. So you can reach out to us if you have any questions that you want to ask us. But for now, we'll open up the floor for Q&A. And we can answer all the questions that you might have through the Q&A window. Okay, so some of the questions have been kind of already answered, but we'll try to answer as many questions as possible.
Mhm.
So please keep on asking your questions through the Q&A window, and we'll try to address them.
Maybe at this point, let me introduce other colleagues who will be joining, who has already joined us for this particular Q&A sessions. And you can see on the screen here, we have Professor Chiu Fook Tim, who is the Vice Dean Faculty of Science in charge of the undergraduate program. We have Professor Ng Ka Lun, who is Associate Dean for Faculty of Science in charge of the undergraduate program as well. Yeah. We have Professor Tan Ming Chuan, who is from Faculty of Science in charge of the outreach and admissions. He's Assistant Dean from the Faculty of Science. We also have Dr. Norman Abdullah, okay, who is the assistant dean from the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences. So what's going to happen now is that our professors here, colleagues here, will take turns to answer your questions. We pick the questions that we think is quite generic, we'll answer verbally. But at the same time, you can see that the screen, the wide range of colleagues who are also here. What they are doing is they are actually tapping very fast, fastest fingers competitions. They are answering your questions as we speak now. So the way this works is please keep your questions coming in the Q&A sessions, and then we'll just click on the Q&A session. Then we'll answer them accordingly. Yeah. Okay, so please go ahead. Yeah, who wants to start first? Yeah.
Okay, so there were some questions that I had actually tagged to answer live, which has to do with when you apply for CHS, because on the NUS application form, when you click CHS, it will ask you, what is your preferred major? So if you're not sure what major you want to do, what should you do in that case? Should you fill in the form as undecided? Or should you just still put something and then change later? Or what's the impact on your chance of getting admitted? Will you put it at a disadvantage if you say it's undecided and on those kind of questions? I think this is a question that many people have. So maybe I guess we can try to answer that question first.
Yeah, maybe I do a quick answer. So when you apply to College of Humanities and Sciences, majority of you will see that once you get in, you will see this button called HNS, Humanities and Sciences. That's what you click. Yeah. So once you click, right, so you will see that, oh, you have a choice to declare whether you want to do a primary major in ABC, any subject. Yeah. And also there's a choice of the undeclared. In other words, you do not want to declare your primary major first. So let us emphasize this point. Whether you declare a major or no major, it has no implications on your chances of getting admission, right? So admission is based on your clicking this humanities and sciences. Yeah. So there's one answer to this. And also earlier on when Professor Park explained, there are certain courses in the CHS with a star asterisk. Those are resource intensive courses. So those courses will have a certain degree of a quota. So the number of students admitted to those courses are limited. So if you want to go for those courses, for example, PPE, for example, pharmaceutical science, FST, you have to click that as your first choice. Then you can click HNS as your second choice. If you don't get that, then we'll evaluate for the HNS. So in other words, a large majority of HNS major, for example, psychology, economics, physics, maths, life science, right? Those are all grouped under HNS. So when you apply, we are going to evaluate you based on your admissions to HNS. So there's no more additional separations or whether you major in this or that. Is that clear? Yeah.
So so I also agree with Professor. So saying you're undecided in your major does not disadvantage you. So you can do that. But on the other hand, I mean, from a different perspective, you also, so I guess it's important to use the space of your application effectively as much as possible to tell us what kind of person you are. So where you're coming from, what's your background, because we do want to know who you are in order to decide whether you would be a good fit for CHS or not, right? So, and we also look at you not just based on your scores alone, but also the story you can tell about yourself and all those kind of things, right? So if it's okay if you're undecided, right? But try to tell us, what you are interested in the, for example, in the short answer questions, so that we can still get a sense of what kind of person you are and where you're coming from, what your background is, what your life story is, and those kind of things, right? If you do have a kind of vague sense of what you might want to study, even though you're finally decided, feel free to just indicate that, right? Because you can always choose a different major once you come in to CHS, right? So if you have a very vague sense of what you want to major in, don't be shy and indicate that as a preferred major and can talk about that in your application form, right? And in doing so, if you're really undecided, then it's okay to say you're undecided. And again, that will not put you at a disadvantage, but still try to use the space of the application form as much as possible to kind of tell us what kind of person you are, okay? A related question was for ABA. So basically, ABA is aptitude-based admission, right? So at NUS, we don't consider students purely on their academic grade points, but also from other kind of aspects, such as their CC activities, their volunteering, or kind of any other kinds of kind of achievements that they have done apart from kind of academic achievements, right? So we kind of aim for that more holistic kind of range of admission, right? The question the person asked was for ABA, does putting a more competitive major for CHS change our chances of getting in as compared to someone with the same grade, but put a less competitive major, right? So for example, if you put in a less popular major, does it make it easier for you to get into CHS? I would say that's not the case. No, we don't. Of course, for example, we would want students to major in our less popular majors, right? But just because you indicated that major in your application form, we don't automatically give you admission, right? But of course, you have to kind of meet all the criteria, and you have to have a good kind of story of why you must be a CHS student, right? And why you want to major in that particular major, right? So you have to show us, why that is a convincing case that you would be good as a CHS student doing that particular major, right? So no, choosing which major itself does not give you any advantage or disadvantage, right? It's more about how you present yourself in your application form, right? Okay, I hope that answered those questions. Okay. Okay, let's see.
Okay, so maybe I pick up one question here. It says, how are lessons different from if someone has undecided from start versus those from start? Even if you are undecided, you still will embark on your courses. So it's more depending on what courses you took. So that means you choose the course to take. So there is no difference. So you will take that course, and then the professors will teach equally to the whole class. So it's up to the courses that you have taken. So even though you're undecided, you perhaps have a certain inclination of which particular subject you want to pursue. So you can take the introductory course, and sometimes we call it the gateway course for those particular subjects. So everything is normal from then on. Yeah. After you completed those courses, then perhaps you have a better understanding of what the discipline is all about, and then you can make a certain decisions or certain indications of your preference. Yeah. So no difference in teaching, whether you are decided or not decided. Yeah. There's a program on Dundee. There's a.
Yeah, I could address that.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah.
There is a question on our double degree, joint degree programs with Dundee. Dundee is just one of the many that we have. We have also programs with Waseda University. We have also a program with Sciences Po in France, and also our French double degree programs and so on. Apart from those who are interested, who want to go on to do veterinary science with both University of Melbourne as well as now upcoming with the University of Edinburgh as well. Now, specifically with the Dundee program, we have a long-standing program where our students can spend the last 3 semesters in Dundee, and vice versa. The students from Dundee could exchange and come to NUS as well. This program is specifically for the life sciences, And those who are majoring in life sciences, if you come in, when you first apply, you apply to CHS, and then maybe you want to indicate that you're interested in life science, and maybe specifically say you're interested in the Dundee program. But when you are in NUS and in CHS in life sciences already, we will call for an application within the first semester itself for those who want to elect and say they are interested. Now, we have also a long-standing exchange program with Dundee. So sometimes some of us will say, I want to be in this program, but eventually we may go there to go for an exchange first, and then I decide, oh, maybe I want to just come back. That's also okay. In other words, when you come to university, you may not necessarily know exactly all that you want to do, and then you experience it first during your exchange, and then you say, hey, you know what? I really want to carry on. And that's what many of our students do as well. The program is very popular. Very many students go on to Dundee, and vice versa. Their students come here. It's very much focused on not just within life science, very much focused on the drug discovery program, because they have a wonderful drug discovery program over there, and a couple of other very specialized programs which will complement us here in neurobiology, in plant sciences, and so forth. So those who are interested, come for our open house. We could actually explore even further there.
Okay, so there are some other questions related to admission. So, for example, as long as I meet the criteria, will I be guaranteed admission? So there's no need to interview. Well, I guess if you have a 7 point rank point for A levels, I guess you're very likely that you will be kind of given admission, but I guess you shouldn't assume there's any guarantee, right? As we said earlier, we do look at admission holistically. So whether you get admitted or whether you are called for an interview and those kind of things, you should not consider them to be something that's determined automatically, because we may still want to talk to you to get to know you more, for instance, right? So those kind of things are, you should not take those as something that automatically follows based on the numerical kind of achievement that you have, right? Because as I said earlier, we do look at kind of students holistically. So we are interested in their stories and who they are and what they're doing and those kind of things, right? So don't assume anything is automatically decided. We do pay attention and look at your applications very closely to really understand who you are and where you're coming from. And therefore, our decisions will based on those kind of things. I don't know if other colleagues want to say anything about this.
Yeah, that's right. I think So because remember when we admit the students, right, we want to make sure that besides the academic achievement, right, we also look into other aspect of this. Yeah. So very high academic score for your is very very good things. Yeah. So that of course certainly will improve your chances. Yeah. So but of course like what Professor Park, we cannot guarantee because this is a very comprehensive analysis of the students' achievement when we consider admissions. Yeah. And also on the similar discussions, right? So let's say a student, I saw a question just now, a student, let's say is around the 10 percentile, right? So should the student still apply? The answer is definitely yes. Yeah. So in the same spirit of discussions here, besides the academic score, we also look at in the achievement of the students, right? So what have the student done? Whether the student is very active, student leader, can contribute a lot to the student life, enrichment in the faculty, in the CHS. And if you see these kind of students, we would definitely consider them favorably because when we admit you, you'll be able to enhance the learning experience of your peers and yourself, and also improve the atmosphere in the faculty. So all these things are very important also. So the summary is that even if the student is at 10 percentile, we still encourage you to apply. Yeah.
Yeah, and one more thing, the STAR courses earlier on, those are interview courses anyway. Yeah, so those you require interview regardless. The ones that mentioned the special programs, yeah, in STAR. Yeah.
Joseph and Chong Hao, I saw a question regarding what experience will we get in NUS CHS, and also maybe to follow up with the question, the person who asked a question on the joint degree with Dundee, and then there's a follow-up question within there which says that, is there a flexibility to also do a second major, other minors, and so forth? Maybe I answered that question in the context of the other question about the kinds of experience one will get in NUS CHS in general. When you come to CHS, you don't really just come here to study and get a degree. You come here to experience. You come here to experience, to be able to grow in the 4 years plus that you're here. When we say we come here to experience, you of course experience a new field, get deeper into a new field. That's all in the studying and in the courses. But you also experience community living if you are part of many of the community courses. As well as the special programs in the halls and the colleges. We want as many students to be having a global experience. Just to give you an example, more than 60-70% of our CHS undergraduates will spend one semester or even a summer overseas before they graduate. So that's an experience. We want you to be globally linked and also globally exposed. But beyond just getting your degree, studying for courses, staying in the halls, going for student exchange, um, uh, many of our students also go for internships. They experience what a job is like. They go and try out what they want to do. Maybe in the future, they test out. I've got interest in consulting. Maybe I will give myself a chance to go and experience there, either during the summer or sometimes even during the semester. So that's actually quite a lot of experience that you will actually be given the opportunity to do this. And those who want to deep dive into research, there are hundreds and hundreds of labs all over the place, not only in the university, but you can join with the government agencies as well as A-star labs and so forth. So you can see the experience is diverse. Let alone the student life experience for leadership, experience for taking it, being a chairperson of a interest group and things like that. So what you do in university, what you do in CHS and NUS, both in the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences and in the Faculty of Science, is your choice. You want to come, you want to be able to try many things, and then you want to experience them so that you decide, hey, you know what, this is what I really like to do, and then you discover yourself. So that's the kind of general experience, and many of our students take advantage of all the possibilities that you have. Having said that, however, there's just too many things to be able to do. Yeah, you cannot be trying to do everything because there will be too many things to do. So what you want to be able to do is, give yourself a chance to try some things, but don't try to be Superman and Superwoman to do everything because there's just not enough time to do all of them. Understand yourself, understand where you want to go, and give yourself that opportunity, even in the courses and the majors and minors. So in that context, I wanted to just address the follow-on question with the person who asked about the Dundee program. Now, the Dundee program is a double degree, joint degree. So obviously, it means there's already quite an intensive thing that you need to do. Is it possible for you to do a second major or minor? Well, it's not impossible, but it's going to be very tough, right? Because remember, you have to spend less than half of your degree program overseas, and there are requirements there to also fulfill. And so maybe squeezing in a minor in a small manner may be possible if you overload a little bit, but trying to do more, go do the dandy and then go do everything else under the sun, uh, I would be very cautious. Yeah. So the university gives you this opportunity. It doesn't mean you have to do everything. You can. And if you need a little longer time, there is also that flexibility. So remember, this is a, a time of your life where you can discover yourself and use this time to discover who you are and what you can be, the best you can be. I hope that sort of answers both questions as well.
Let me pick up on Prof. Chu's point on the note on research, because I also saw some questions on that. So you know that in NUS, obviously we are a research-intensive university, so many professors embark on research. Obviously, students will have opportunity to join the professors to explore and discover new knowledge. Yeah. So typically, a lot of the programs will offer you what we call a final year project. So in year 4, you can do a final year project. Last time we called honors year project. Yeah. So final year project. But of course, students say, I do not want to wait until year 4, then I do research. I want to start earlier. Yeah. So we have programs, what we call UROPS, Europe's Undergraduate Research Opportunity Program. So what it does is that it is a course. So you take it, you complete it, you will satisfy one of the courses that you need to do for your program. Yeah. So in this research program, UROPS, you knock on the door of professor to ask, do you have any interesting project that I can embark on for one semester? So in that semester, you work on this particular project, be it research in theory or in experiment or in computational technique and other review kind of exploratory work. And then at the end of the semester, you work together with the professor, postdoc, and PhD student, and you come up with the report on your research findings at the end. And then this will be examined by 2 professors, and then you'll be asked to stand up and give an oral presentation on this. After which the professor will grade you. That's it. Yeah. So in other words, you can do this as early as the second half of your second year, and obviously 3rd year, and then of course then 4th year you can do your final year project. So for those of you interested in research, R&D, so you can see that you are provided ample enough opportunity for you to hone your skill in research over the period of 4 years. So those of you interested, you can consider this, and then you can do research with different professors, so then you can pick up important skill in experiment, computational technique, and so on and so forth. Yeah, we hope this is clear. Yeah.
I wanted to second the point that Fuktin mentioned. Don't try to do everything, because definitely at CHS and NUS more generally, there are so many things you could do with your course of study. And I guess NUS students and CHS students, they tend to be kind of competitive, right? So that they do want to maximize their opportunities and do everything they can. And then often they feel kind of stressed about it, right? So I guess the kind of advice that I would also second is that don't try to kind of do everything, but do things that you feel you will enjoy, right? And do those things passionately, right? So then you will really enjoy the things and maximize the resources that you have of being a CHS student, and also enjoy doing that, right? And to me, I guess what's important about the CHS experience is the diversity that you will be exposed to, right? Not only to the different majors and the subjects that you get to study, but also different people that you will meet. You in CHS classes, you get to kind of be in the same class with people studying from very different majors all across CHS, right? Then you get to hear from students and other experiences, their different perspectives of looking at the same problem and those kind of things, right? And the important part of the CHS education, of course, is to be able to work together with people from different perspectives and different majors and different disciplines to find common solutions, right? So just that experience of diversity, I think it's a very strong experience, not only from the educational perspective, from also but student life as well, right? Because that enriches the time you spend at CHS. As a person, and it also enhances the things, the network that you have in social terms, right? So I think that's a very valuable thing that you will experience as a CHS student. I don't know if any other colleagues have anything they want to say about what they think is the CHS experience is like.
Maybe I want to add to what has been mentioned because I typed in an answer to a question that the prospective student asked. But I mean, the student was concerned about being an art student having to do common curriculum courses that are science-based and vice versa. So as a science student having to do common curriculum courses that are based, more humanities or social sciences. I think that really brings out the benefit of a CHS, the diversity, right? In having that experience and exposure to do courses across the other side, where you gain that kind of perspectives that are difficult to get if you are just confined to doing just one major all the time. So by talking to students from the other faculties, doing common curriculum courses together, you kind of get different perspectives. And sometimes learning through this way may actually open up doors for you. Some students may not actually think that they may be interested in a second major or even a major in psychology, while they are always thinking that they are a life science student, right? But because of being exposed to a particular way of thinking, or by just communicating or interacting with their classmates, it actually opened up that opportunity. And then subsequently, they actually went on to do a second major or even a second degree in a contrasting kind of discipline. So I think you should not really be fearful of having to do courses that are outside your comfort zone, but you should embrace this as an opportunity to learn something beyond and actually see that as being useful in this current complex world that we live in, where every problem almost straddles across many different disciplines, right? So from a more practical point of view, of course, students are always worried that if I do a course that, it's not my cup of tea, I get grades that kind of pulls down my GPA. But, the university has taken care of those things with the SU options that allow you to convert a letter grade into a pass-fail grade. So you really should not be burdened with that concern. So that I thought it's something I wanted to add. Yeah, colleagues, please feel free to add on to that too.
Yeah. Perhaps, thank you, Professor. Maybe let me add on to Professor's point about this grade free. So this is very important for the students. You know that the type of honors degree at the end of 4 years, depending on your GPA, right? So students obviously worry about GPA. So what Professor has mentioned just now is that in NUS, some of the courses, especially those in first years, some of the courses we allow you to do the following. You take the course, you complete your assignment, test, any other thing, and final exam. At the end of which, the professor will grade and then give you the letter grade you receive for this course. And at that point, the student will have the options to look at the letter grade and make a decision to keep the letter grade or convert it into what we call CSCU. That means satisfactory and unsatisfactory. That means pass fail. Okay. So obviously, if you get a letter grade A, you keep because that is 5 points for your GPA. But let's say a student did not go out of comfort zone, do something that may not be so familiar. Get a letter grade, let's say C. Right. So the student say, I pass. I can move on to the next level. But C is not so good for GPA, so I'm going to convert the C grade, right, into a pass fail. In which case, you pass and move on, and that particular course does not contribute anything to your GPA. So you see, this is a very good thing. So that means we want to encourage students, don't worry to go out of your comfort zone to try something new. And we also make sure that we have safety net. It will not adversely affect your GPA if a student did not do well. Then let me add one more point on the spirit of the multidisciplinarity. Just now we did not bring this up because we do not want to confuse you. But now let me give you a fuller picture. Right? Let's say a student come and say, I want to do a primary major in psychology in CHS. Yes, that's fine. Good, very good. Go ahead. Yeah. Then the student say, I want to do a secondary major in business. Wait a second. The business, right? The business program is not in CHS. Is this allowed? I want to do a primary major in mathematics, secondary major in school of computing. Is this allowed? I want to do a primary major in physics, secondary major in some courses in engineering. Is this allowed? You see that the secondary major is out of CHS. Answer is yes. So you see, now it becomes even more complex already. So you can do a primary major in CHS, a secondary major outside the college. But your admissions is based on your admission into CHS. That means your primary major must remain in CHS. Your secondary major can be in CHS or outside CHS. So we make it so flexible that then you can really package your CV, your transcript, right? So we have students, for example, a popular one is do a combinations of primary major in CHS, secondary major in computer science, primary major in CHS, secondary major in business. So that even further enhance your multidisciplinary strength.
Chong Hao and Joseph, maybe we've talked a lot about interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary. Everybody wants to do a second major and minor. I also want to go the other side of the spectrum where if somebody says, really, I know what I want already. I want to just focus and want to specialize and I want to be a deep specialist. Do I have a place in CHS? Is this all about interdisciplinary? Is this will I feel out of place if I already know I want to be a physicist? I've got Meng Chuan here, who is actually a who talks about astrophysics and string theories and so forth. I want to be like Meng Chuan, who really does really deep science here. Do I have a space in CHS? The answer is yes, actually. In fact, if you look at the profile of people coming into CHS, Prof. Saul just mentioned earlier, I don't know if you heard it, about 30% of our students do a second major or summer degree. About 50% have a minor. But actually, there's still a large proportion of them who are specialists, who decide I only want to do one major and not just one major. I only want to also continue to do higher level and specialize in that area. And they have a place also in CHS. They have a place because even those who say, I really want to go on to do my PhD, for example, programs such as the special program in science, there's a high disproportion of people who go on to do PhDs. But not just in general special program in science, there is a special program for mathematicians. We call it the SPM, the special program in math, where if you really are those who are going to be field medal kind of thing, there's a place for you too. And recently, physics has also has a direct program in physics and so forth. For those who are saying, you know what, I already know what I want, I just want to now go further. That's where you can also make use of your unrestricted elective space. Everyone else do other things, you go deeper. You can even try to start taking graduate courses while you're in your undergraduate, if you can actually handle them at the end of the day. So that's that kind of flexibility that I would like to mention here. But in relation to this as well, I think there was a question about what is the trait or what's the kind of student we have or we want and in CHS. Actually, that's a very pertinent question, and I've already told you we have many types of program, study abroad, internships, research, specializations, and so forth. But let me just convert that into traits that we see our students graduating with by the time they go through the entire degree program. Right top up there is we want our students to be globally aware. Globally aware simply means they need to understand the global yet local perspective. Maybe understand the geopolitics to a certain extent, that's very important nowadays. And also be able to work cross-culturally. The world is actually getting very big in many ways, and you have to understand that, today you'll be working in Singapore, but actually you'll be discussing with someone in Dubai or maybe in the United States or Europe. You have to understand cross-cultural and appreciate cross-cultural ways of doing things. So that we call this global awareness, and that's where our study abroad programs are very important. That's one of the traits that we are looking for. Another one is industrial relevance, of course. You know, all of us, many of us will go on to many areas of work, as we have illustrated in the talk. You want to be able to use your degree and apply them in the real world, understand the real world problems. That's what we mean by industrial relevance. Having internships is important. Being AI literate and fluent is important. Having high value management skills and operational skills, that's all under industrial relevance. And again, you can see how these programs is not just about coming and learning in courses. We will bring people to NUS, we will bring experienced industry people, and we will bring you out to the industry to see how things are. That's this program. That's what we are trying to do. But the next trait we are interested in is future readiness. This is important because you're not just going to study your degree and then that's it. That's the end of your learning, yeah? You have to have that innovative mindset. And we want to cultivate that. We want to cultivate in some of you some entrepreneurial spirit, but in all of you, something we call lifelong learning. And I think if you hear closely just now, Prof. Sao mentioned, right? As an NUS graduate, you have the privilege of coming back for the next 20 years, I think, right?
Yes, correct.
To be able to take courses, to upgrade yourself if you still want to, and to maybe pivot into a different area if you so decide according to what your degree requires you to have. But most importantly, and this is actually something that a lot of people out there say already of NUS graduates and in particular CHS graduates, they are technically competent. They're clearly technically competent. They have strong domain knowledge. That's actually a given. But more importantly, apart from within their domain, they are interdisciplinarily connected. That's why we emphasize this. So if you ask me what are the traits we like to see our graduates graduating with, global awareness, industry relevant, future ready, and technically competent. Now, how do you structure your studying in the next couple of years to do this? That's why we give you all these opportunities. But again, remember, the opportunities are there. Don't try to be everything to everybody. Be yourself. Be yourself and learn how to grow in the areas you want to grow. One last thing I want to say, and then maybe my colleagues can add to this as well, is it sounds like, wow, we've got so many things to do and it's so competitive and, I don't know whether, well, this is why we want to bring you to come to an environment that you can develop this way. But at the same time, we have student life, we have our career guidance people to help you along the way if you're getting lost. We have people who also say that, you know what, if you actually require some funds to help you with because, study abroad is expensive, we have actually special programs to be able to help you and assist you there as well. So what I want to show you is that this is a community. This is a community of how you will grow in the next 4 years. If you want to reflect back what this is a place, this is not just a place where you go and gain your degree. This is a place where you will grow. I leave to my colleagues to add to that and maybe say something if I missed a thing or two.
Hi, I'm Yok. I'd like to address a question on the AI. Is being interested in AI good for CHS students? Certainly, it will prepare you for the current and the future economy. And in fact, as a faculty, we do try to update our curriculum, and that's why we are introducing things like computational social sciences and AI into the curriculum in many through different prongs, multi-prong approach. And what can you do with AI as a CHS student, right? You can contribute in various economy, such as the digital economy, where things like AI in natural language processing, etc., and communications for econ students, also for like credit and default swap analysis, default analysis, and so forth. For green economy, yes, we have your GIS and spatial data science programs. That involves things like remote sensing, computer visions, etc. That you can definitely, with AI knowledge, contribute better. And on the creative economy side, yeah, human-computer interaction, accessibility, Gen AI, computer graphics, multimodal analysis. With the knowledge of AI, you can contribute in these domains and disciplines. And for the well-being economy, well, with a knowledge of AI, you would be able to help to design fair, accountable, transparent systems in the deployment of AI. So interest in AI certainly is a big plus for CHS students. And as a faculty, both from FOS and FASS, we try to encourage you to make AI accessible, not just to comp science students, but to all CHS students. Yeah.
Thanks, Yok. So I would like to add on that too. So actually, if you can also think of the other way around. It's not just that the CHS students needs AI, but AI needs CHS students, right? Because if AI is to really develop fully and be used in society for beneficial purposes and for productive and equitable ways, people developing AI really needs a perspective of people from CHS, right? Because you really need to understand what's going to be the social impact of AI, right? And how it's going to be used by people, right? And what's the underlying assumptions about the way AI is being used and promoted in society today, right? Without really thinking about that and only developing AI as a technology would create more problems, right? So really, AI and CHS, it really is kind of goes together in that sense. So even if you're not a computer scientist, right, if you're not a developer of AI systems per se, there is great room for the CHS student in the conversation and policy and those kind of things over AI, right? And that's where really interdisciplinary comes in, as Fuktim was talking about, right? So interdisciplinary doesn't necessarily have to mean that you do more than one major, right? So even if you're not doing a double major or double degree or double minor or those kind of things, this interdisciplinary is really integrated into all the majors that we are kind of teaching at CHS, right? So for instance, I'm a linguist and I'm in the English department, as I said earlier, and my field is within English language. But of course, you can't really talk about language without thinking about AI these days, of course, because large language models has become such an important part of AI. And part of the reason why is that, of course, because language is such a fundamental aspect of human intelligence, right? So without language, there cannot be any artificial intelligence, right? So what can I say, for example, from the perspective of a linguist about AI and the way it works in society, for instance, right? So that is immediately there's a dimension of interdisciplinary there. So even though I'm an expert in linguistics itself, I have to be well versed in what's going on in AI, even though I'm not really a computer scientist or programmer or anything like that, right? So CHS kind of gives you that kind of tools, right? So it allows you to understand people working in other fields, even if you haven't majored or minored in those fields, so that you can work with those people and solve problems together so that you become a contributing member of these kind of really cutting edge issues that society is facing. So that's I think the strength of interdisciplinary of CHS. Right? So I guess you don't need to really necessarily have to do a second major or minor or double degree and so forth, right? Because this interdisciplinary is really baked into the kind of basic education of not only the common curriculum, but also all the major training that we offer at CHS.
Yeah, my apologies. Just I forgot to introduce Dr. Man from the Department of Economics. I think also Professor Lim Tiong Wee is also among our panel here. He's typing answers to questions, to your questions. Yeah. So maybe I change topic a little bit. I pick up questions from students. Can I co-email professors when I enter asking for research opportunity, even if it's not for Europe's? Would it be reflected in transcript and showcase in my research experience? You should definitely, absolutely call and co-email your professors. This is the kind of student we want. We do not want you to sit there and wait for things to arrange nicely for you. We want you to be proactive. In life, nobody's going to arrange everything nice for you to click and choose. No, you should be fighting for it, proactively looking for it. So we want students to be proactive. Yeah. So you can definitely write to the professors asking for, hey, do you have anything interesting that you want to explore that I can contribute with? So of course, not every professor will have the opportunity for you, but some professors may have. Right. So we like students to be proactive, so they can approach us and link up to us earlier. Right. So just speaking for myself, I have first-year students in my lab. They are doing exploratory experiment just for the fun of it, because you will never know. All this kind of exploratory experiment may end up leading to something very, very interesting. Yeah. So as in this kind of thing is all ad hoc arrangement with the professors. Of course, we do not want to formalize it and put it in a transcript. No. But from my experience, very likely this kind of exploratory experiments may lead to majority of them lead to Europe's. So in other words, you do exploratory because you don't know whether it's going to work or not, and then from all this kind of trying and then discovering, you find, hey, this is an interesting aspect that we have not realized. And then the student evolve and develop this into Europe, in which case you'll be in a transcript. Yeah. So in some cases, the Europe is so extensive that the students think, maybe I will continue to develop this. It could be my honors year thesis or my final year project. This is how you grow. This is how you develop yourself. And so how do you reach out to these kind of professors? Of course, you can co-email your professor. And a lot of time, students will take a course by our professors. At the end of the class, you will strike a conversation with the professor. Hey, I heard that you are a world expert in skyrmion. What is skyrmion? It's a kind of magnetic system. Yeah. So I have no idea what this skyrmion is. The professor, don't worry, I have the tools to explore it. Would you like to try and figure it out? So this kind of things you can embark in the lab, do some research, do some internship with the professor and figure out more. So definitely be proactive and reach out to professors.
There was one question about Chinese language and cultures. So the question is, if students study Chinese languages and cultures, what kind of job will the student find? Okay. So I just want to answer the question not specifically about Chinese studies, Chinese language, but more generally about Asian studies fields more generally. So because one of the categories of the majors that we offer at CHS is about Asian studies, and we have Chinese language and cultures and Chinese studies, bilingual, and then we have Japanese studies, Malay studies, Southeast Asian studies, and South Asian studies, right? So these are all kind of Asian studies that focus on a particular country and region. So what's the point about these kind of majors, right? So the point is, of course, to be experts in those countries and regions, right? But because we don't just study those countries without context, right? So those are all based on particular perspectives as well. So for instance, if you're studying Chinese language and cultures, for example, you study understand the Chinese language from a linguistic perspective, for example, but also from the perspective of Chinese history or Chinese culture and Chinese literature and all these kind of different fields. So basically, all these Asian studies areas are all kind of interdisciplinary fields that bring in the perspective of humanities and social sciences to understand that region and the society, right? So basically, when you get a degree you do a major in one of these Asian studies fields, you, first of all, become an expert in those fields. So of course, obviously, you'll be able to work as a regional expert in companies. For example, if a company is trying to branch out into the Chinese market, for example, you'll be the expert there to guide those such efforts, for example. So that's one obvious thing. But also the general skills in social science and humanities perspective that you learn through that kind of process also provides you a background for a more grounded kind of specialist in those disciplinary areas, right? So for example, if you studied Chinese language in a deep way, you're not only specialist Chinese language, but also you have a concrete basis of doing more general work within linguistics, right? So for example, again, if you're become part of a team that's developing a large language model, for instance, then as experts, as a linguist, as a Chinese language specialist, you can contribute to those teams, for instance, right? And also you can also be more generally kind of contribute to a company which is kind of seeking to kind of expand its market as a general kind of consultant for the interdisciplinary business aspect, not just the aspect of Chinese market specifically, right? So Asian studies fields all provide this kind of more general kind of training that becomes very effective as a interdisciplinary kind of toolkit that students can use in that regard. So maybe Norman, do you want to also say something more generally about Asian studies in general? Because Dr. Norman is from the sociology department and about also Middle East studies, so he has kind of more insight about the Asian studies fields than I do. So maybe Norman can also say a few words about our Asian studies majors.
Norman, we cannot hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, so some reason we cannot hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Now it's okay.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, we can.
Is that okay? Sorry about that. So thanks for the question, Joseph. Yes, so Asian studies itself, as Joseph mentioned, really gives you a regional outlook, right, to understand the world that we live in, specializing in a particular area. So you might, for instance, major in economics, or you might major in pharmaceutical science, but having a deep appreciation of the region itself does give you a very good understanding of the social, cultural, political, and historical context to better understand what's happening in that part of the world. So while you are also an expert, right, in your particular specialization, you can also, provide, an edge, right, in understanding and appreciating that particular part of the world that, you are specializing in. So that's, a very good combination to consider as well.
I thought I could add into this, not from a FASS or a sociologist point of view, but even as a scientist, I work on genetics, and we understand migration patterns, or looking at how the genes tell us about the history of our mankind and things like that. If we just work alone in isolation and in the scientific area, we miss the context sometimes. We miss the context of how things happen in the past. And we require the anthropologists, we require the sociologists to tell us and give us some degree of insights and context. Oh, this is what I saw in our genes, and this is actually telling us something about our evolutionary background and so forth. That's just one example. Today, we are also trying to rediscover and discover a lot of the things that are important that our mom and dad, grandmother used to use, traditional medicine that over time, if we don't understand, we will lose it at the end of the day. In recent times, a Nobel Prize winner won a Nobel Prize in medicine because of the deep understanding of traditional medicine and things like that. All this requires some degree of context, which if actually we don't have the mindset of an interdisciplinary person, we don't see it, and we will miss the forest from the trees, basically. So I think there is actually a lot of insights one can take into this, and just beyond just being able to be useful because our businesses are now all going into the region, and also need to work in. I presented to the faculty recently. One of the most common minor in amongst the science students is a minor in language, basically. And amongst the most common language, of course, you get the usual Korean and things like that, maybe because of the Korean dramas and interest in that. But actually, very many of our students are interested in taking something else beyond just the scientific field, and they realize that actually having a an ability to communicate with people is an advantage, and communicate not just in the simple English language, but also in other languages, and understand their context is very important. So that's how we see why these opportunities are available.
Yeah, so following up on Professor Chew's point, right? So we have a lot of fun and excitement in developing all this kind of exposure and interdisciplinary training to you. Remember, in the common curriculum, we have 2 courses on the interdisciplinary course. So let me just share with you. So what are those courses? So for example, one of those courses, the title of the course is The Meaning of Colors. You think about it, well, this is an interesting question. Yeah, so the meaning of colors can be approached from the perspective of science, right? You can talk about all the colors of science, right? The science of the colors, and so on and so forth. And also, this course is also co-taught by a professor from literature. So see, this is an interesting topic that really draws your focus into different ways of putting the information and knowledge together. Another one is electrical vehicles. It's obvious, right? So this involves science, the chemistry of EV, the batteries, and also involve economics, involve geography. Right? And then there's one course on chicken nugget. How can you talk about chicken nugget? Yes, there's a lot of discussions point that you can bring up by having the topic of chicken nugget from the perspective of food science and technology, from the perspective of economics, from the perspective of social behavior. So this is the thing we want you to think. Okay, I should not confine myself to one certain fixed topics. I would be able to think about a certain broader perspective of different things. Maybe let me follow up by looking at one of the questions about what do you put in your achievement? You have to answer those questions. Personal explorations can be included, and then how about if it's not recognized as a competitions? So let us clarify. What we mean by achievement is that it does not definitely narrowly means competitions. Of course, if you have a competition, you can put those as your achievement. But achievement is much broader than that, right? So in the past, we have students who wrote about what they have done in the school, right? So let's say they start up a society, a club that's previously not there. So they bring it up to bring in a certain interest and focus on a certain interesting topic for a certain social cause or for the benefit of the students. So those are achievements as well. Of course, your leadership trainings, yeah, it's also very important, and your contribution to the communities, right? So some students know about how they devote their time and energy to the community service. These are all also achievement, and also it's also can be very broad. Just share with you, in the past, we have one student who wrote in the achievement, the student set up a company at the age of 18 years old. So this kind of thing will draw our attention. So this is unique because that shows the creative thinking ability to come up with new stuff. Okay, at a young age. So we'll look through this very in detail, and then that's how we evaluate the students when they apply to us. Yeah.
There's another question. So one person mentioned I did ELL, English Language and Linguistics before, but how do I include that in an application? Is that something that I learned or as a skill or something like that, right? So I guess you mean you took English Language and Linguistics before as a subject, but you're not including that in your final kind of A-level subjects, perhaps, right? So if that's the case, I guess you can just mention it in your short answer questions. I mean, I guess categorizing as a skill or subject, that's not important. You can you can mention that you took the course or studied that subject, but what's important is just not listing that as one of the things that you did, but why is that important to you? So what did you learn from that? What kind of perspective did you gain by studying this, and how does it tie with what you want to study at CHS, right? So integrate that into your narrative as you answer the short answer questions. That becomes important, right? So if there's anything that you want to highlight, it doesn't have to be something based on competition, or it doesn't have to be a specific isolable skill or anything like that. Anything you did, you think is important to bring up, please feel free to bring it up in your application, but try to tell us why that is important to you and what does that tell us about yourself, right? Okay.
Okay, can I switch gear a little bit? I think there is some questions regarding more operational kind of concerns, because it's understandable we're presenting to you all so many different majors, and students are worried or concerned about, so when do I switch majors? How can I do it? How often do I do it? And so on. So there is quite a fair bit of operational details, which I will not bore you with, but I think a little bit of clarity will help you understand how it works better. So what happens is that in the couple of weeks that leads up to the start of the semester, right, all the students who are officially already in CHS at that point of time will be required to do what they call the academic plan and declaration process. Right now, once they have gone through that process, that is when they will declare their intended major before the semester starts. And once they have done that, they will proceed to select the courses that they wish to read in the upcoming semester. Now, depending on which major you have declared, it may give you some priority in securing courses that may be a little bit more competitive in terms of quota versus demand versus supply, right? So that's why you need to do a declaration of a major first. And depending on what is the major that you've declared, that will kind of classify you as either being a student from FOS or FASS. Okay, so you'll be taken care of by the respective faculty that is offering that particular major that you have made the declaration for. Now, this process repeats itself at the beginning of every semester. So every semester, you are given that flexibility to redeclare either an existing major that you say, okay, I'm gonna continue with what I've been doing. I like it very much. I'm not gonna make any changes. Or you can decide that, no, I think my first major declaration last semester, I've kind of tried it. I don't really enjoy it. I want to try something else. You want to redeclare your primary major as something else, you can do so. So this can go on for up to, well, my recommendation is personally, I think you should more or less be settled into your primary major by the end of your second or third semester, but you can technically still do so right up to the fourth semester, which is the end of the second year. So you should really make up your mind by then. Okay, but nevertheless, this process of declaring your major and selecting your courses happens every semester, at the beginning of every semester. So that's how you switch majors, or you add a second major plan, or you add a minor plan in the later years of your candidature. So just to set everybody's mind at ease in terms of how we work over here operationally. Okay?
Yeah, thank you. So I want to reiterate Colin's point again. So it is, CHS does give you time to think about what you want to major in, but do declare your major as soon as possible, even if you're unsure, right? Because that way you can gain certain advantages in, for example, getting into classes and those kind of things, right? So even if you're unsure, please try to kind of decide on a major as soon as possible and declare your major once you're in CHS. And it's okay to switch to a different major after the first semester or in subsequent semesters, right? But the sooner you decide on, you'll be able to better plan your 4 years of study, and they'll be at an advantage, right? So we give you the flexibility, but also kind of try to use that strategically.
All right, thank you, Prof. As we're running out of time for this session, perhaps we just take one more questions, or we might just want to have your final thoughts. Okay, if not, then thank you everyone for your questions. If you have more questions, or if your questions were not answered in time, do drop us an email at askchs@nus.edu.sg. But at the same time, do take some time to visit the CHS website at chs.nus.edu.sg. Okay, now before you go, can we trouble you to answer a couple of questions that will be appearing on the screen right now to give us your feedback regarding this session? Okay. All right. Okay, let me just continue. So, okay, there is the poll. Okay, while you're doing this, just a reminder that this is not the end of the program for today. We have prepared a whole series of talks for you, and we would like to invite you to make your way to the next round of talks. In a couple of minutes, there'll be 4 concurrent sessions for our cross-disciplinary programs, namely the Environmental Studies, Philosophy, Politics and Economics, PPE, Data Science and Economics, DSE programs, as well as a new Geospatial Intelligence program. After which, at 12 p.m., you may also join us at our student sharing session, during which you will hear from 4 of our brightest students about their learning journey so far at CHS. To get there, you can click through from the link on chs.nus.edu.sg/OH2026. Let me repeat that again, chs.nus.edu.sg/OH2026. Okay. All right. So thank you all for making the time to join us this morning.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.